Hello, my friends. It is that time of the month again. We are doing our May TBR. So, this is going to be my first month doing my TBR jar with my lovely little reading shelf right next to me. So, hopefully, that will make our selection of books a little bit easier. You guys can only see my top shelf, which is mostly my March TBR. Speaking of my March TBR, it's not going to go great, I'll be honest. I have so far finished 3 books for the month, and it's currently the 23rd. And I'm now in the middle of June, which I think is probably going to take me through the rest of the month. But I can't be sure. So I'm definitely going to be missing out on a couple of the books for this month. But that's quite alright. I don't 100% know what I'm going to be finished slash still reading by the time we get to next month. So I don't know how our choices are going to go. I may end up picking some of the things that were on the April TBR for my May TBR because I'm pretty sure I won't get to them, but I don't know. We'll see. I also did finally read The Outsider, but I didn't love it. I can recognize that it was a very good book, but I just got very frustrated with it. I was expecting it to go one way and then it went a completely different way, and I'm just mad at it. And for that reason, even though I know that it was probably actually a good book, I'm probably not going to be reading If It Bleeds and Holly. So I'm going to take those ones off the list of required readings for my Goodreads award winners. But let's start off with our Goodreads award winners. So if you're new around here, I am trying to read through all of the 2023 Goodreads award winners. This little jar is just full of names of books or series, and we're actually down to the last two. I always pick two out of this jar, and we're down to the last two, so I know exactly what these 2 books are going to be. If you have been around and been watching these videos for a while, you also probably know what they're going to be. If you're new here, this could come as a complete surprise to you, but for the rest of us, we all know what's going on here. So let me pull out these 2 prompts and I will show you what the 2 books we're going to be reading for our Goodreads award winner prompt for May are going to be. Give it a shake for these surprise 2 books that we're going to be pulling out of here. All right, our first one, if I can get it up the right way, is Wayward. Now, this is the winner of 2 categories in the Goodreads Award winners for 2023. So we're going to see how this one goes. This is by, I believe it's like Amelia Hart. Yes, it is by Amelia Hart. I don't really know a lot about it. I know it's like a multi-generational sort of story, and it was won the historical fiction. And was it also the fantasy? Did it win fantasy? Oh, debut novel is the other one that it won. So it won historical fiction and debut novel. So it's definitely got some historical elements. Let's just take a quick look at the bio. 2019, under cover of darkness, Kate flees London for ramshackle Wayward Cottage, inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers. With its tumbling ivy and overgrown gardens, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate. She begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. 1617, Alpha is awaiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stampeded to death by his herd. As a girl, Alpha's mother taught her their magic, a kind not rooted in spellcasting, but in deep knowledge of the natural world. But unusual women have always been deemed dangerous, and as the evidence of witchcraft is set out against Alpha, she knows it will take all of her powers to maintain her freedom. And then 1942, as World War II rages, Violet is trapped in her family's grand, crumbling estate. Straitjacketed by societal convention, she longs for the robust education her brother receives, and for her mother, long deceased, who was rumoured to have gone mad before her death. The only traces Violet has of her are a locket bearing the initial W and the word Wayward scratched into the baseboard of her bedroom. Weaving together the stories of 3 extraordinary women across 5 centuries, Amelia Hart's Wayward is an enthralling novel of female resilience and the transformative power of the natural world. That sounds fun, intriguing, interesting. I'm looking forward to reading it. And our second Goodreads book for the month, shake up this single piece of paper that's in there. I don't know if the microphone picked that up at all, but we've shaken up our final piece of paper and we have Alex Stern #2. Alex Stern series is the series by Leigh Bardugo, pretty new series, I believe, since, book #2 obviously came out last year, so definitely pretty new. And I read Ninth House, which is the first book, last month, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic, really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars, so I'm really looking forward to reading Hellbent, which is the second book, and we're going to go and actually buy that one because I loved the first one so much. I borrowed the first one from the library, so I don't own the first one, but I'm going to go buy the second one. So it's going to be a little awkward to own the second one, but I'll eventually buy the first one when I decide I want to reread it. But basically, it is a dark academia fantasy style book. We're following our main character, Alex, who is part of a secret society at Yale. I think they're at Yale, one of the big universities that has all the secret societies, but all of the secret societies are actually magical, and they all have magical powers, different sorts of magical powers. But Alex's secret society is all about trying to keep all of the magic of the other secret societies in check and making sure they're not murdering people like they used to in the 1900s and 1800s. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to reading the next one. I think it's going to be great. All right, let's move on to our actual fun prompts. Not that these weren't fun, but we're moving on to the mystery prompts at the very least. I also need to add those two to the TBR category. All right, so now we're going to be pulling 4 prompts out of the prompt jar, which is just your standard sort of prompt jar that you see around the YouTubes and the TikToks and the whatever else's there are. I have my little shelf is basically my TBR cart here beside me. You guys can't actually see the ones that are my TBR, but I will pull them out as is necessary as we go. So let's get going. What is our first prompt for this month? Upside down. June's Pride Month, isn't it? That's unfortunate, but that's okay. Not that it has to be Pride Month for me to read a book with a queer protagonist, but it would have lined up nicely if it was. Okay, a book with a queer protagonist. It sounds terrible that I'm like questioningly saying that, but I just don't necessarily know. I don't actually know if I do have any. And it's not necessarily that I don't have any. It's just not something that I'm aware of as to what I have. I do have a little tag for my books, but I don't necessarily put it in until after I've read the book. I don't necessarily know what the diversity in the book is going to be until after I've read it, but let's see if we have any LGBT plus main characters. We do. What do we have here? Ooh, Sorry Bro and Kill Your Darlings. Okay. Don't really want to read Sorry Bro. What was Kill Your Darlings? Inkheart meets Inception in this allegorical masterpiece. It sounds great. I'm definitely intrigued, but is it actually a queer protagonist? This is like there's a prince that she likes. Even someone who might be Prince Charming if she could get her act together. So, I don't know where I got the LGBT main character from. Like, it's got the LGBT tag, but I don't actually know if it's an LGBT main character. I've been trying to decide on this one book for a very long time. I think we're going to go with this one. This was one that I was going to consider reading for the Pride Month, which I'm pretty sure is June, not May, unfortunately. But I was going to consider reading this one for Pride Month. I remember thinking of it when I thought about it. So I think I'm going to give this one a go. It's only got 3.81 out of 5 stars, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be the best book in the world, but I'm really intrigued by it. I'm really intrigued by the setting. I'm really intrigued by the concept of the story. So we're going to give it a go. So, synopsis. 30 years ago, a young woman was murdered, a family was lynched, and New Orleans saw the greatest magical massacre in its history. In the days that followed, a throne was stolen from a queen. On the anniversary of these brutal events, Clement and Christina Trudeau, the 16-year-old twin heirs to the powerful magical dethroned family, are mourning their father and caring for their sick mother, until, by chance, they discover their mother isn't sick, she's cursed. cursed by someone who on the very magic council their family used to rule. Someone will come for them next. Christina, once a talented and dedicated practitioner of generational magic, has given up magic for good. An ancient spell is what killed their father, and she was the one who cast it. For Clement, magic is his lifeline, a distraction from his anger and pain, even better than the random guys he hooks up with. Christina and Clement used to be each other's most trusted confidant and friend. Now they barely speak. But if they have any hope of discovering who is coming after their family, they'll have to find a way to trust each other and their family's magic, all while solving the decades-old murder that sparked the still rising tensions between the city's magical and non-magical communities. And if they don't succeed, New Orleans may see another massacre. Or worse. Yeah, I think it sounds like fun. We're going to give it a go. I don't have super high hopes for it, but I want to give it a go, and I need to move on. Next up, a book at least 500 pages long. All right, we're going for a long one here. What do I have on my shelf? I feel like I have at least something on my shelf that is over 500 pages, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. Let me pull a few out and see how we go. I don't think this one's actually going to be 500 pages. It's chunky because it's a hardcover, but I don't think it's actually going to be 430. Oh, the acknowledgements of Jade City finish on page 498, and I don't normally count acknowledgements, so either way, not quite long enough, but very close. I think it's going to be one of these two bad boys. Ooh. Let's see what we've got. Oh yeah, well and truly. And also well and truly. Okay. Alright, so we're going to be picking between Brandon Sanderson Final Empire, which is the first book in the Mistborn series. I wanted to say trilogy, but I don't actually know if that's true. And then we have The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which will be a reread for me. I think that for that reason, I think I'm going to go with The Name of the Wind for the moment. It's because June's taken it out of me a little bit. Really enjoying it, but boy is it becoming difficult to read. Not becoming difficult to read, it just is difficult to read. So I don't really want to dedicate myself to starting a big Brandon Sanderson big book and also big series right now. So I think I'm going to go with The Name of the Wind because it's only a 2-book series because bloody Patrick Rothfuss refuses to write the third book. But maybe one day we'll get a third book. But I have been wanting to do a reread of this one for a while, so I think we're going to put this one on our TBR for this month. Finally, one that I have physically to put in my TBR. Now, third one. There's still quite a lot of prompts in here. I was worried I was going to get through them pretty quickly, but it's more than it seems. Alright, it's definitely upside down. A book with the character name in the title. Okay. A book with the character name in the title. I think I already know what I'm going to go with here. Let me just have a little look through what else we have in here. Oh man, I actually have a few options, don't I? Didn't realize how many options I had. But I think this is the one that I'm going to go with. Let me just make sure this is actually the character's name. It sure is. So I'm going to go with Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I bought this one a few months ago, because I really wanted to read it, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Really looking forward to reading this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. A lonely shopkeeper takes it upon herself to solve a murder in the most peculiar way in this captivating mystery by Jessie Q. Stanto, best-selling author of Dial A for Aunties. Vera Wong is a lonely little old lady, a lady of a certain age, who lives above her forgotten tea shop in the middle of San Francisco's Chinatown. Despite living alone, Vera is not needy. Oh no. She likes nothing more than sipping on a good cup of oolong and doing some healthy detective work on the internet about what her Gen Z son is up to. Then one morning, Vera trudges downstairs to find a curious thing: a dead man in the middle of her tea shop. In his outstretched hand is a flash drive. Vera doesn't know what comes over her, but after calling the cops like any good citizen would, she sort of swipes the flash drive from the body and tucks it safely into the pocket of her apron. Why? Because Vera is sure she will do a better job than the police possibly can. Nobody sniffs out a wrongdoing quite like a suspicious Chinese mother with time on her hands. Vera knows the killer will be back with a flash drive. All she has to do is watch the increasing number of customers at her shop and figure out which one among them is the killer. What Vera does not expect is to form friendships with her customers and start to care for each and every one of them. As a protective mother hen, will she end up having to give one of her newfound chicks to the police? Probably. Seems likely. But I think this sounds really cute and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Alright, fourth and final prompt. Thought one of my prompts just went flying out there for a second, but I think it was just a bit of dust. Alright. It's a long prompt. A book inspired by an element: air, fire, earth, etc. Okay, so I guess it will have to either have an element in it in the title or have some sort of affiliation with an element. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow has a whole bunch of water on the cover. Does that count? I don't think it counts. Alright, I don't think I have anything on my physical TBR. Let's have a little read through what we've got in our digital TBR. Alright, we're going to go with The Spear Cuts Through Water. I always say it wrong, so if I say The Spear That Cuts Through Water, I'm sorry. I always say it wrong, but it's The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. Obviously, we've got water in the title, so I'm just going to go with that. I don't really remember what the spirit of this prompt was in, whether it was supposed to be the name or whether it was supposed to be the book itself, but we're going to go with it. Two warriors shepherd an ancient god across a broken land to end the tyrannical reign of a royal family in this epic new fantasy from the author of The Vanished Birds. Sorry, I'm having a very hard time reading things today. The people suffer under the centuries long rule of the Moon Throne. The royal family, the despotic emperor and his monstrous sons, the Three Terrors, hold the countryside in their choking grip. They bleed the land and oppress the citizens with the frightful powers they inherited from the god locked under their palace. But that this is getting ridiculous. But that god cannot be contained forever. With the aid of June, a guard broken by his guilt-stricken past, and Kima, an outcast fighting for his future, the god escapes from their royal captivity and flees from her own children, the triplet terrors, who would drag her back to her unholy prison. And so it is that she embarks with her young companions on a 5-day pilgrimage in search of freedom, and a way to end the Moon Throne forever. The journey ahead will be more dangerous than any of them could have imagined, both a sweeping adventure story and an intimate exploration of identity, legacy, and belonging. The Spear Cuts Through Water is an ambitious and profound saga that will transport and transform you. It's like nothing you've ever read before. So I think that sounds really fun. I've heard good things about it, and it's a 4.21. So that's not bad on Goodreads. And then we will do a quick little wrap up of what we're going to be reading this month. Okay, so only 2 of these books are actually on my physical TBR, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. Alright, let's go through what we've got. So we have The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which was our book that had more than 500 pages. We have Blood Debts, which was by Terry J. Benton Walker, which is a book with an LGBTQ main character, or a queer main character, I think was the prompt technically. We have Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, which is a book that has the character name in the title. We have The Spear Cuts Through Water, which was a book based on an element. or inspired by an element. And then for our two Goodreads 2023 award winners this month, we have Hellbent and we have Wayward. All right, so that is going to be our TBR for May. I'm really looking forward to reading most of these books. Actually, I think this is a pretty good TBR. I'm really looking forward to it, and we will see how it goes if I actually finish June by the time April has finished. Maybe I will get to some of these books. We'll see. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what books you're planning on reading in May. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.